What's up, nerds? Welcome to Chapter 3, Season 2 of the Unvaulted podcast. I am your host, Squatingdog, but verified on Twitter calls me unworthy of a checkmark. Jerks. Anyways, welcome to today's podcast, and we are going to talk everything about Season 2 as a whole, but most importantly, Fortnite, a game notoriously unique for its building, built a new season and took out the feature that made it unique to all other games. The building. What is going on? Hopefully your ear holes are ready for a whole new season of the Unvaulted commentary, and I am joined in today's episode by the one and only itsPM, my NFT addicted accomplice. What's up? It's AM.
Oh, it's AM. That's interesting. I mean, it is AM.
It's AM right now.
Yeah, technically it is. I mean, a lot of people just assume I like nighttime, but it's just my initials, and I've just ran with it. So
I just thought it was clever because we're doing this podcast in the morning. So
yeah, I mean, yesterday, 2 nights ago, you hit me up and you were like, at 11 o'clock, you were like, hey, 9 a.m. tomorrow. And I'm like, I don't know, dude. That's a little too last minute, but we got it figured out.
We got a lot to talk about, you know, like it's a new season. People are stoked and terrified of this season because of some major changes that Epic has made to the game. And so we got to dive in and talk about it all. Before we get started, though, tell me your general experience of Season 2. I know Fortnite has disabled building, and I know we're going to have people on both sides of the spectrum and whether or not this is a good thing or a bad thing. But for you, what has your experience been of Fortnite Season 2?
Mixed, I guess is the best way to put it. I love the new AR. I asked for that when people would be like, what do you want to see in the new season? I was like, a burst AR with the red dot would be dope, and we got one. It took getting rid of the MK to do that, but you know, it is what it is.
Unless you have one in your tent.
Is it still in there?
There's some people that have them in their tent right now, which I don't know if Epic planned that.
Oh, that's crazy.
Uh-huh.
That is crazy. I should look. I think I had one of the gold ones in there. I should definitely check that out.
Pop it out. Use it.
I love how everyone complained about the spray meta last season. And instead of fixing it, Epic just said, hey, here's another combat SMG and here's a drum shotgun. So we got 10 times more spray. So they're just going to full on embrace it. That's totally fine. I'm really indifferent about the no building. And I told you about this before the show that I will be the Skip Bayless of this take. I don't think it's good, but I do think a certain genre of players love it. And I think that is fine.
Okay.
I think if they made it a permanent LTM, that would be great. Just keep it out of the normal game.
Okay. And you had also said to me off air that like, this is the first time you're jumping into arena. You like it you dislike it this much.
So my brothers and my friends is who I play a lot with. And they were talking about how amazing it is. And this was at like 6 a.m. because they didn't go to sleep. And I was like, oh, I'm so excited. Like I can't wait to try this. And so I hopped in at like 4 p.m. after work. I died in 5 minutes because I couldn't build and I couldn't hide. And I didn't say a word. And they all started laughing and they were like, Pete's going to hate this. He's going to hate this so much. And I sat there and I go, hey, bro, I'm going to go play arena. If you guys want to join with me, you can. That was the last time I played the public mode.
Yeah.
And I just, it just didn't work. Like the reason why I love Fortnite is the building aspect.
Sure.
And when you pull that out, it's really no different than Apex to me. And and I'm sure we'll get into this deeper later on, but one of the issues I have is how you can break structure so easily in Fortnite. And if I'm hiding behind a tree, you just have to spray it.
Right.
If I'm hiding behind a building in Apex, you can't spray to break it.
Yeah.
And so you really have no cover. So it's just a free all. It's just everyone can shoot all at once. And you want to talk about third partying being worse? Welcome to no building.
Yeah.
And that is my problem with it. But there are people who love it and I'm happy for them. And that's why I want to keep it for them.
Okay. That's good. That's a good take. I feel like it's an honest take and I appreciate that. So I have a very different experience. I feel like my first game on, I won, and I'm currently at a dozen crowns, and I am having a lot of fun. But I will say, my first game, when I got shot at, I pulled out my non-existent builds and got
Yep.
shot even more. And so, what this changes, I mean, it changes everything for these. Apparently, it's going to be here for 9 days, so
Mhm.
they're not like they're not going to keep it a permanent thing. But what I noticed when I played was like all of a sudden I saw the map differently, right?
Yeah.
When Spider-Man came out, when you had the web shooters, you saw height in the map
Mhm.
differently. You cared about every tree. Any desert area was you kind of avoided with Spider-Man abilities. It's a little bit harder to use them. Now I see the game primarily on how do I move around it and use the tools that they gave us, which is, if you don't know and you're listening to this podcast, vaulting has been added into the game so you can actually just jump up a 1x1,
Mhm.
or there's the tactical sprint, and you have a 50% overshield. So think Master Chief. When you get shot, that overshield breaks and then it might hit into your health a little bit, but then your shield regenerates over time. So those are three new features that they added to complement this experience. And I was looking at my gameplay completely differently. I was looking at high ground differently. I was looking at mobility tools differently. And I was looking at, I don't even run a shotgun, which is crazy to say.
Yeah.
But in Fortnite, when you can box up when you get shot immediately, and then somebody can push your box, you are the closest bad breath distance to your enemy. A shotgun is going to be your number one tool.
Yeah.
And so I would get frustrated with the game because I would always need a shotgun. Now
Yeah.
I'm most likely far range or mid range from all of my enemies. And so a shotgun is my least utilized weapon. So I run two SMGs since it's spray meta, and the new SMG just does like 40 plus to the face, which is nuts. So that's all I'm running, and I am finding a lot of success and having a lot of fun with it. But it is really funny when somebody new gets on that hasn't played the game in a while and is like, excuse me, what's going on? And I feel like it
Yeah.
has brought back so many people because you take out that skill gap of editing and building, which has plagued the game. Like people that put
Yeah.
in the time for that are going to do well. They're just going to do way better than most people. And a majority of people don't have the time to play Fortnite full time. So they're going to
For
get
sure.
absolutely destroyed. So a majority of people are going to probably have a good experience. And so we'll dive into all of that. But I think
Yeah.
it's good that we have you on one side and me on the other to be able to articulate each other's experiences, but also hopefully um, uh, give the audience that are listening, a good argument for both sides as we move forward to what Fortnite has planned.
Yeah. And I have a good analogy I'll bring up soon, and I kind of hinted at it pre-show, but it aligns with why I just love this game so much to begin with. So I'll go into more detail on that in a bit once we get there.
Great. So let's take a deep dive into everything season 2. Today we're going to cover new movement abilities, the map changes. There's 3 new POIs, meta changes. There's new weapons and vehicles, and why the building is disabled, and what to expect for the future of this season. So we're going to dive into all that. But I think like what we have to start with, and I think what a majority of listeners are here for, is why has Fortnite disabled building? PM, why did they do this? Like, this is a very interesting decision to take out the most crucial thing that makes Fortnite Fortnite.
I think it's to introduce the new mechanic, the sprint and the vaulting jump. I truly think that's the only reason why they did it. And yeah, you kind of spice things up and it becomes a hotbed topic and people are like, "Oh my god, they did this. I need to check it out." But I think the real reason is they want you to learn the vaulting mechanic and they want you to learn the tactical sprint. I think the
Okay.
biggest problem with what they did with the slide mechanic last year was they just introduced it and they didn't really give you like a kind of runner on how to do it. It's just you slide. And
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people initially just didn't slide. They were like, "Oh my god, that's right, I can slide." And then they just started
Mhm.
sliding. And so I think they're taking that and they're going, "Okay, if we cut out building, everyone will do the tactical sprint and vault jump." Like you have to in order to get places. So I
Yeah.
feel like they're trying to get people accustomed to that. And so when they bring it back, it'll be like just kind of mixing the two together without any headache.
Yeah.
That is my theory as to why they vaulted it for just 9 days, alongside of just buzz. Because when you remove building from Fortnite, it's like taking away sprinkles from ice cream cones and stuff like that. Like people get very upset about it. Our people love it, but it's a
Yeah.
hotbed topic and people will talk about it. So
Totally. Yeah. I also think it's bringing in new audiences. I mean,
yeah,
their major competitors, are Apex, COD, Valorant, like those are and competitors loosely, right? Like, I feel like if you're into one of those games, you're really into it.
hmm
But a majority of people will play where their friends are at, and so I feel like Fortnite is the hardest of all of those games to play with your friends. Um, Especially if you're like, I'll give you an example of myself. Like, I play Fortnite. A lot of my friends have moved from the game, but they when I play with them on one of their games, it's easier for them to carry and for us to still all survive. In Fortnite, it is a little more frustrating for them because when it comes to building, they just get fried or edited on or pieced up and annihilated. And so I can
yeah,
hold my own, but they may not. And so then it creates this interesting like how much do you love your friends to go through that much torture and for
yeah.
how long? And so
I
I have noticed that like there are a ton of new people or maybe old people that loved the game that just couldn't keep up with some of that stuff are coming back, and a lot of content creators and streamers that used to play Fortnite religiously are also revitalized by it right now, which I think is an important thing to take note of. It might not be the main reason, but it is a supplement to what's going on with
yeah.
all this.
I mean, I agree with that completely. I'm actually just going to say my analogy now that I think Fortnite needs to take the approach that's similar to basketball. So I've been playing basketball my whole life, literally since birth. I came out the womb and hit a jump shot, and I was like, I'm Steph Curry, baby. And I love the game so much, but I played it to a level that got so competitive and so good that it killed me. I couldn't
Mm,
play it anymore. I
sure.
was getting out rebounded. I was getting crossed up. I was getting dunked on. And that's when I realized my skill level had hit this threshold. And I
Sure.
hated the game. And I was like, I'm never going to get better. This game is stupid. I'm going to go do something else.
Yeah.
And I realized at that point that it's not necessarily because everyone's better than me that I hated it. It's because the game that I was playing was catered to those people. So I was playing very high competitive AAU games. AAU is like, the most competitive high school platform you can do. And the rules were different, shot clocks, deeper 3-point lines, bigger courts to accommodate for these higher skilled players. You
Right.
go to the NBA, they have different rules than college, than different rules in high school. I think Fortnite should adapt this mindset where, okay, if you're a pro, you play arenas. This is your rule set. We've done it with the builds, we've done it with the rotation stuff and the certain weapons. But if you play pubs, we're going to remove turbo building. We're going to
Mm,
remove the things that should be in arena only because the skill gap is so different. And if you want that skill gap, like, the arena players want the turbo builds and they want to be able to edit fast and 200 pump you, go play arenas. If you want the deep 3-point line, go play in college.
yeah.
I think there needs to be this they need to take a harder stance on splitting up the two,
Sure.
because when they start to mingle is when a lot of people get upset.
Yeah. And it gets
Um,
hard. It gets hard when you have friends too, right? Like,
yeah,
so like, I think this is where, I mean, this is the quote unquote matchmaking system, which gets a lot of crap from a lot of people, is unique because like, if I'm playing with somebody who like maybe one of my best friends is like, hey, I want to play Fortnite. I haven't played Fortnite before. You want to play Fortnite? Like, sure. Yes. Like, let's go. I am going to be 100 times better than my
yeah,
friend, and we're going to be put into a lobby. What do you do about a matchmaking system with that? Like, it's just like complex, because
yeah,
if we have too many bots, all of them are going to have a bad experience with me in the lobby. If we take him to a too high of a tier, he's going to have a horrible experience because he won't be able to defend himself. So it really makes things hard. But one thing that, as you were sharing, I was like, I wonder if they could implement something like this. Is like, you know how like if I were to boot up the game, I would not be able to join a cup unless I've progressed through arena.
Yes.
Um, I wonder if they could do the opposite as true. So
If you're not good enough
if you're too good
or too
at the
good, yes.
game, yeah, you have a high arena count, you can't join certain lobbies that
Yeah.
the game has. Like, for example, let's say that they took out turbo building. There's a non-turbo building game mode. If your arena points are over like whatever, you made it to champs, you can't click on that tab. Like
Yeah.
it's not allowed for you. I wonder if that would help create lobbies that essentially are more like focused on the skill gap,
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people would get upset about that because it would be
Totally.
controlling what they can and can't do. But at the same
Totally.
time, you can tell them like, "Hey, not everyone can join into these arena matches to make money. So
Exactly.
why should you come to us?" I mean, again, I hate to bring it back up to sports, but it's like if your friend, or let's say my friend's never played basketball before, I'm not going to be like, "Okay, let's go to this Sunday run where I know some pros are going to be there." Like
Yeah.
that would just make him miserable, as opposed to being like, "Hey, yeah, let's just go to like the local park on a sunny day and we'll just shoot around." Like there should be levels to it that'll make people happy. I don't know how they could do it, but I believe they should take a deeper look into preventing really good players from wanting to play
Yeah.
pubs.
Sure.
I think is the way to do it. Not necessarily forcing them out, but being like, okay, you love the turbo build, you love to edit a lot. How about in pubs? We just don't have that.
Sure.
The editing you do have, but let's say some of the edits that you're really good at are some that are really frustrating to people, like the corner peaks for the top right, gone.
Yeah. Interesting.
Those kind of things. I think if you dumb down pubs enough like that, the hyper competitive people that have pushed the casual out of the game would not want to play it to begin with.
Yeah, because I feel like
So
what disabled building is going to create in 9 days, which I think today is day 3 or 4. So
I think it's 4.
we're
Yeah.
like halfway through this like system.
Yeah.
It's going to eventually come to a crash, right?
Yeah.
All of these people that have jumped in because building is disabled and are playing the game, maybe even bought the battle pass, are going to have building back in a few days.
Yeah.
And one of two things is going to happen. Either Fortnite was like, all right, we got them. Now let's maintain them. I don't think by doing the same thing you've done in the past, which is just like, let it go, like good luck,
Will work. Yeah.
is going to work, because they already did that. They already played Fortnite at one point in time, and they came back and now they're gone again because it's the same. So my question is, does Epic Games have a rollout plan for all of these new players, all these people that are having fun with no building? Is this a fluke, or is this an intentional testing period where they're like, I wonder if this will, I wonder if people like it? Because if everybody hated no building in Fortnite, they probably would have retracted that quickly. Right.
Yeah,
I feel like they would have been like,
probably.
it was just a day.
Yeah. Like,
come back,
sorry.
Please come back.
We didn't mean to roll that out. Our fault.
Yeah.
Let's reverse this.
But everyone's having a surprisingly good time. I asked Twitter about their experience. I asked like, Fortnite taking away building just made my experience of the game what? And then they 50% filled in a lot more fun. 37% said more fun. 8% said less fun, and 3% like you, a lot less fun. And
I said less fun. I didn't say a lot less fun. I said less fun.
And so that's interesting. That's an interesting statistic. So now I'm sure they're taking all of this information. They might have an idea or a plan. People have speculated that there is going to be an LTM that will accompany this no building thing. It is currently not in the game, which I feel like could be a bummer for a lot of people if that doesn't become true. But it's almost like I wonder if we are going to see another subset. So we have like arena, highly competitive, we have pubs, and I wonder if we will have a lower tier. Not that this is not competitive though, it's a different type of game. It's not like I don't want people listening to this go, oh, Squatting thinks that like people that like we're all like, we suck at the game. It's like, no, like positioning, all the stuff that comes with no building is really impressive and actually really, really fun. I love it a lot. Like it takes a lot of like it's chess. You have to think 3 steps ahead of who has high ground. What are you going to do about that? Do we have any mobility items? How are we going to get to this point? The storm's moving here. It's a lot more difficult to navigate those things. And so I feel like in some ways this is a very competitive format, but it's way different than when you get shot at and you can build the Taj Mahal with a pool. It's drastically different. So I feel like this could create, and I hope Epic is paying attention to all of the feedback, because I would love to have multiple styles of Fortnite in the game. Just how would it work every update? It would be a massive endeavor to figure out all 3 formats again every season for every new item. Like I can imagine like that being very difficult.
I mean, I keep going back to this basketball thing because it just fits in my mind. But I play a competitive league. I call it competitive because if I tell you about it, you'll be like, wow, it's just a pickup YMCA league. But at my club, we play a drafted league on every Thursday where you have certain levels of players line up to play. So you have the high ranking, middle, and low. But that's not college basketball. That's not the NBA.
Right.
That's not D League.
Right.
That's not these
and you're not getting paid
established.
anything,
and I'm not getting paid. But
right.
so the rules are different. So we have like the 22-second running clock. The 3-point line is shorter. The courts are shorter. The timeouts are less, and it's still very competitive for the people who want to be involved with that. But it doesn't give you like the 24-second shot clock. That you need to get the shot off, or the super hyper competitive players that'll just destroy you every time. And so I really love this idea that they need to get rid of turbo building in pubs.
Yeah.
And leave it off. And then as far as editing goes, remove certain edits that a lot of the pros exploit. To prevent people from just getting boxed in and then corner shot. It's just remove it. You've already removed the builds. Why not try that?
I think I would push back on that, mostly because you want the game to be as accessible to anyone as possible. So I feel like I, and this is me personally, it might be really, really, really more frustrating for a casual person. But when I get pieced, it is so annoying. Like I hate it. But I learned, if you take that time to learn from what you did wrong, like you can then grow and get way better at the game by just paying attention to what happened, what they did, and how they did it. And so I've learned, even in this, a bunch of getting pieced. I'm like, okay, I'm watching some videos. So like I spend some time learning, and now I've found a way to avoid that. So I feel like that's kind of true of anything you do or any game you play. There's always going to be a skill gap, but it's like, kind of like what you were saying earlier, is like incentivizing people in each of these categories. Like, how do we create an incentivized version of something that will bring in a more casual audience to where they are less frustrated through the entire game? Not just like, there's so many people that I helped a kid last season. It was like towards the tail end of last season, hadn't gotten a crown win. And like that kid's going to school and all these kids are talking about how many crown wins they have. And this poor guy is like just quiet. And so I was like, dude, let's play. We'll get you a crown win. And we got him a crown win. And it was like a big deal to him. Like, and so the spectrum is huge. And so it's like this poor kid, like it's a social thing for him, like at his school. And so he was so proud to tell everybody at his school that all that was going on. It's like, that's rad. Like, that's cool. But there's a bunch of people out there that have never experienced that, have never gone through that. And how do we get those people to experience a game of Fortnite that they enjoy? Because ultimately, like when I'm playing board games, I don't know if anybody that listens loves board games. I love board games. When I play board games with somebody who doesn't like board games or is not interested in the board game, I try my best to position myself in that game to get them not to win, but to experience the game fully, to its full experience. A lot of times I will numb some of my strategic senses in order for that person to have a better time. Because if I can get that person to have a better time, more likely than not, they'll want to play board games with me. Yeah. And I won't have like 4 people that want to play board games with me. So like that is a strategic move on my end to, in some ways, manipulate the situation so that more people will want to play with me. And then I can destroy them when they get more and more like apt to their skills. And I think Fortnite should have a similar type of like perspective on this. And we don't have to continue in the matchmaking thing. I know we always end up going here, but I think no building has created a whole nother category, if you will, which is a big deal. And so we got to ask that question, like, what does the future mean with no building? Because it's only 9 days. We have 3 days left as of this like podcast. Even we might even release this when it's building is back. But what does that mean? Like, what is that information for? Was it just a fluke? I think Epic's holding on to some of it and is going to try to create some new ways to play the game. But I think with that, with no building, we got the Overshield, which I feel like we should talk about a little bit.
Yes.
The Overshield is a wonderful thing, at least for me. And essentially how it works is right when you jump out of the battle bus, it starts charging. If you get shot, you lose shield first, not health, or your regular shield. You lose your overshield. And that overshield replenishes. So I could get dinked for 140 and it would go into my health, but I would still get overshield again and again and again. So you're cracking people left and right in the game. And if they hide with that cracked shield somewhere on the map, they can get another 50 health just by standing still and hiding. So this creates people to stay alive, which I think is a necessary piece when you can't build, because you're going to get beamed left and right all over. And so if you can position yourself, if you can hide, you can then acquire. It's like having a 50 pot all the time, always in your back pot. Just pop it in. And so you have up to 250 shields. So it makes a lot more sense for the SMG, which is done like just deteriorated people. It now kind of counters a little bit of that. But also, if you're like me, when you drop in Fortnite, you can't find a helpful weapon or heals. This gives you automatic heals. So at least if you get hit, you can turn back around and hopefully turn the tides of that fight.
Yeah.
So yeah, what are your thoughts? Overshield, and do we think it's going to be sticking around, or is it only for the new this new game mode?
It is such a tease for someone who wants Siphon in pubs to have an overshield. It is such a tease. Yeah. I will say, first and foremost, props to the audio guy at Epic. I don't know who it is, but that sound of an overshield breaking is very pleasing.
Oh, it's very pleasing.
They do a great job with that.
It's my text message sound.
It's it's great. It does remind me of Halo, which is cool. I just think they just need to add Siphon. I think they're just kind of playing around this thing to see if they can do it without doing it, because they have it in Arena, obviously. I just think they need to introduce some sort of Siphon, especially during a spray meta when people want a third party all the time. You can't sit around and just heal for as much as you want to. I thought the armored walls did a great job of keeping everybody alive if you had them. But the issue with it is you can't break them. If you box yourself in, you're screwed. So I think just introduce Siphon. Just bring it in and leave it in there.
Yeah.
You know, the overshield is great, but we all know but we all want Siphon. We all want it. So just bring it in and leave it there.
It's a creative way of going about it, for sure. Yeah. And I feel like, I mean, it's an old school video game norm. Like, they're just applying something that we have always known since the old Halo days. It's like, this is awesome. But we never knew it was awesome until we didn't have it in Fortnite. So like, I feel like it's very regular for my experience to be like, oh yeah, Overshield, got it. Like, but some other people are like, whoa, in Fortnite, this is crazy. You know,
if they didn't have it in this no build mode, I think a lot of people would hate the no build mode. I think it's like it's necessary.
Oh, it would be very difficult
for this gameplay. Yeah, because you wouldn't be able to sit down and heal, especially with the ability to break whatever barrier that you have in front of you with a few shots. Right. You need something that'll do it without you having to do it.
So and it's also exciting.
It's totally necessary.
Yeah, it's also exciting because like in creative, we could get this too. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it has some really cool like future concepts are going to be really rad for this. I'm really
Yeah,
excited.
for sure.
The big question that I have outside of this no building is that we had such a unique start to this season. We had no teasers, and I think looking back, it's a lot easier to see why. I think that I got a good grasp of why this could be. Obviously, when a season is created, it's like done in months in advance. And so these creators, there's like an A team, a B team that are working on seasons. Sometimes that's why when a new season comes out, a feature like maybe like a good example would be like tornadoes and a weather system is like created for a season, and then this season pops up and it's gone. You're like,
Yeah.
why? Sometimes there's overlap in features and sometimes there's not. So an overlapping feature would be like what you had said, sliding. Sliding was added, and then it was also still in the game for this season.
Yeah.
Other things like Colombos, whatever, gets pulled out, or like it might have overlapped, it might not, because each season is being created by a different team. So this team, while the last season was going on, was creating a war season, between the IO and the 7. And it made sense given the story. And then stuff in Ukraine hits.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have this unfortunate, horrible, bad timing.
Yeah.
Shit hits the fan. And it's like, I'm sure the people at Epic Games were like, well, and they have been such a sensitive group of developers to
Mm-hmm.
everyone about everything that's going on in the world. I really respect Epic for this. They just pay attention to what's going on in the world. And so my best guess is that they saw what was going on with the world, and they saw what they were creating, and were like, uh-oh, this overlap's kind of interesting, right?
Yeah.
And so my best guess is you don't tease that. You don't
No.
tease. You don't bring a whole lot of attention to, hey, war. Like it's not the time, not the space.
Yeah.
And so my best guess is that, because like if you really think about it, imagine a teaser where Slone presses that button and all builds are wiped, and that's just the teaser. That would build so much hype for
sure.
like people to come and check out the game. Like just that alone, right? Like a picture of no builds, like whatever it is. But I think there had to be some re-looking at how to bring this season into fruition appropriately given what's going on. And one thing that I think is absolutely insane is that Epic is committing all of its Fortnite proceeds from March 20th to April 3rd to a humanitarian relief for people affected by the war of Ukraine. And so they're going to be like essentially supporting organizations that are on the ground, providing emergency aid, health support, food, water, clean essentials, legal aid, and shelter. And so if you buy the Fortnite Battle Pass, you're essentially helping those efforts. It's all of it. Every dollar is going straight to that.
Yeah, in that dollar amount as of today, actually as of yesterday, is 50 million. So
50 million.
50 million. Yeah. I think they
Isn't that
raised
crazy?
40. Let me look here. I think it was, $37 million in one day.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And so I think like I'm impressed. Even if it's like you can't just scrap a whole season. Like,
no,
and I think this is the most coolest way you could be like, okay, here we go. Like legitimately, this is just such bad timing. And here is our support. Like we truly care about this matter enough for us not to tease it, and enough for us to like actually help fund and support what's going on.
Yeah, a lot of people already kind of give Fortnite some backlash for quote unquote copying other games when it comes to new seasons. Whether it's like the style of art, like I remember when Apex came out, there were some things that they made, skins that were kind of similar, and they're like, oh, they took that from this. And had they had promoted a teaser for the war theme, I think a lot of people would have been like, why are you taking current events
Yeah,
and making
sure.
them like your thing kind of thing? I'm glad they didn't do any teases.
Yeah.
Super happy about that. So
I do think like the community suffered from that. Not that like not to minimize the things that's happening in Ukraine, but I think
yeah,
like every person that plays Fortnite looks forward to the new season and is waiting for something from Epic. And I feel like we all were like, what is going on? You know?
yeah,
And that's what made me think this thought prior was like, it's got to be something along the lines of war
yeah,
because it's just unlike them. We haven't had something like this in a while.
yeah.
And
I
so
actually, I actually didn't mind it.
yeah,
The
you did you prefer it? You would say or
I love being surprised. I like
okay.
having things that are not spoiled. I mean, I would like to give a shout out to the leakers that probably knew about all this but didn't say anything just because they didn't have the ability to do it without getting DMCA'd. I feel like a lot of them were getting frustrated that they couldn't leak anything. Because usually, I'm assuming how the process goes is they have to wait until Epic pushes something, then they can leak it.
Yeah.
As opposed to just being like, oh, here's everything, since Epic won't tell you. I would like to give them, the leakers credit for holding back on that, and kind of respecting the situation around the world. So that's awesome. But I do also love that no one leaked anything. I thought
Yeah.
that was nice. Like I thought it was
It's kind of
great that no
cool.
one, yeah, like it's like I totally get wanting to know what's happening next season, but like it felt like Christmas morning where you
Totally.
truly woke up and you had no idea what was happening.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
feel like that is super cool. And I feel like that is what it used to be like back in chapter one. And I kind of hope it comes back to that, but I get it's too far gone for that to happen.
And
But I enjoyed it.
I feel like we should get another leaker on the podcast and talk about all that because there
Yeah.
has been a huge change in how Epic is delivering information. And I think Epic wants to be the person that shares it first, although how hard that is. But yeah, I think that's a good idea. We should get another leaker on here and talk about their experience of what it's been like in the past, what it's like now, because there's a lot of changes that have happened.
Yeah.
With this new season, there's a new story, new POIs, a lot of new weapons, a lot of new like vehicles. So we're going to touch through a little bit of those things if you are unsavvy already of what's going on. Essentially, Slone has been drilling through the map since last season because she got flipped over. She's like, dang it, now we got to go through. So they've been drilling. That's why, like we heard all of the rumbling in the ground. And then all of a sudden, here she comes, finally arrived, and she brought some lethal baddies to take out the 7. The loopers, that's me and you, baby. We're loopers. We joined the resistance to stop Slone because she's a Karen at this point. Karen eliminates builds because she sucks, and now we have to parkour essentially around the map to victory. Now our goal is to essentially create war, like we had war bonds or whatever they were called a few seasons back, war efforts, which essentially
Yeah.
you use your gold, you shove it into a machine, things happen on the map. And so now we have the map that it's actually divided. So if you go into the game, you'll see this like red line and a bunch of blue lines. That is signifying the IO and the 7. So whichever they are. So the 7 are the blue, IO are red, bad guys, and it kind of carves what part of the map they have ownership of. And so I think throughout the season we're going to see those lines change and morph, and like hopefully we can kick Slone to the curb. But she's kind of been like a cockroach, so could be interesting. So yeah, with this season it's brought 3 POIs. The Fortress, which is a massive drill in the middle of the map, housing Slone and a new mythical striker burst rifle. We have Synapse Station, which is a new 7 workshop where they are working on a new battle bus that you can customize with a cow grater, 2 turrets, and it's drivable. So we'll be getting that really soon. If not, by the time this airs, we will probably have this battle bus. And then we have Covert Cavern, which is a mythical which has a mythical SMG, which we already know, the gunner, the meathead dude, and then a mythical thermal AR from the Ninja Kitty Hunt Master Saber. So there are 3 mythical weapons that you can have. So if you're trying to do one of those YouTube videos, and then Spider-Man webs are still on the map, not the slingers like the hands, but the webs are still around. And Daily Bugle is still there because we got another Marvel collaboration. Mm-hmm. This is the 3rd in a row of a tier 100 Marvel collaboration. We've had Carnage, Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on with the story-ish. We've got a lot of lore implications that we are going to dive into in a future podcast. But PM, how do you feel about Marvel collaborations at this point? Because I feel like the community might have differing opinions on this.
Yeah, I just want to say anyone that complains about it just needs to suck it up because it's never going away. I mean, the Marvel Fortnite collaborations are never going to go away because they are so wildly successful that why would any one of them want to stop it? You know,
here's my analogy. I love this analogy. It's the equivalent of like you're going into Target to buy something. You go to the action figure aisle. And you get angry that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are in there. Like, can you believe this place? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are here. What's going on? I need to talk to a manager. It's like, think about it. If you don't like it, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's one outfit in a battle pass. And the battle passes are insanely amazing most of the time. Very customizable. But it's like I just don't understand the argument of like, I don't want to buy this. It's like,
then
nobody is telling you to buy it. Don't. It's okay.
I don't own every Marvel skin because I just don't think some of the skins look good. I mean, that's just my personal preference.
Sure.
But
yeah. I'm right.
I think it's fair to say if there is a Marvel movie coming out anytime in the future, you will get a Fortnite skin. And I don't see that changing. You know, I could see what's the new one coming out besides Doctor Strange? The Night guy,
Moon Knight, right?
Something like that. Yeah, I bet you he's gonna have a skin coming up. Just expect that to happen. And I love Doctor Strange. I think it's a great skin. I'm glad they did it. Spider-Man the last season was great too. I have no complaints about it. I think it's totally fine. I think that there's a lot of Marvel fanboys and a lot of Fortnite fanboys that are loving it, and they're just going to be parallel to each other. And everything they do.
Fortnite has paid attention to you as a player. They know a lot of what you like, and they know what sells. That's for sure. And so I'm pretty sure the Marvel collaboration is doing pretty well because we have like over 50 Marvel skins, I think, at this point.
And you made the point. They know what sells and they know what works. And why would they just stop this? Because of 4 or 5 people have complained about the art style being weird and how they're just being lazy with the collaborations. Well, you might say that, but their pockets don't say that. And at the end of the day, that's kind of what makes the decision there. So I think we need to understand that and just move on from
I will say that there are some times when I go into the item shop and it's like a Marvel, I'm scrolling for half an hour. Like,
that is true. There's
I feel like I understand that. Yeah. It's like I get it. We got Marvel outfits.
We also have to understand that it is a business and they probably do have contracts that they need to fulfill.
Yeah.
So whether it's like they need to have everything in for one item shop once a month, that they need to fulfill that. So we can't necessarily hate them. But yeah, the one that stands out the most to me was the Joker skin. How it was sitting there for maybe 2 years
it was there for a long time.
Never bought it. I was like, first of all, I'm not paying $40 for this. Second of all, I don't like the skins. Third of all, you've had this here for so long that I will now not get it. That's a good example of that.
Yeah. So I mean, I understand that. It's like it's essentially ad space, really, in the game itself. It's like if it's there, you're thinking about the Joker every day. You know, so I mean, it works in that regard, but to you, we're like, no, if you're here for over a month, I'm not buying your outfit. But yeah, I think all in all, we'll dive into that too. I think there's a lot to talk about there, but just so you guys know, the bugle is still on because it's technically still another association with Marvel, which technically could mean we could see. I don't know if we'll get Spider-Man again or those webs, but Mary Jane was supposed to be out.
Yeah.
And so she'll be coming. I'm hoping for Miles Morales at some point in time. I don't know if there's anybody listening that's like, yes, Miles Morales. I want him so bad. Or that could just be another opportunity for the Spider-Verse, because Spider-Verse 2 is coming out, I think, next year. But it's cool to see. It's cool to see that building is still intact. The Daily Bugle still stands. And then we got the Prowler outfit in this Battle Pass, which is essentially in the Spider-Man universe as well. So a lot going on with all of that. We also have a lot of vehicles. I think this season is going to be crazy because we've got tanks in the game currently, battle buses coming that you can drive, helicopters were teased in leaks, planes, which we saw in the trailer. Oh my, there's a lot of going on. It feels like Battlefield 4 a little bit to me, or Battlefield games,
which I love. I love mobility. I heard there's rumors of ballers too. I love those, and I really want those to come back. I thought that was the best mobile item that they've ever made. I just love the mechanic that you can just. It honestly, the ballers remind me of the Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I think,
yeah.
Where you just
bring back ballers and people would be stoked.
Off. Yeah, I think they need to bring those back.
And not only vehicles, but then modifications. So you can throw cow catchers on chonker tires, which we've known for a while. And then turrets can be placed on vehicles. I think turrets can also be placed on trucks as well, which would be kind of cool. So we'll be able to mod a lot of things, which is very exciting. I cannot wait for building to come back with the cow catcher. Have you ever tried this yet? Where you you put it onto a vehicle and you drive through buildings and it's just clean. Imagine people build fighting, bro, and you're just like,
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be so good.
I put one on the IO car and just drove through Tilted and just destroyed everything I could. Full speed. Awesome. I was like, I need to back up and just go full speed. It was super fun for no reason. Like, it was the kid in me that just wanted to break things.
The person that wants the people in Arena to suffer wants me to. If I was an Epic employee, I would add the cow catcher into Arena just to watch people cry. Because honestly, people in Arena have been building up their cars, and because if you can move with cars and not get like dinked as much, so people are building in cars end game. Imagine all of those cars with cow catchers just driving through
people. Yeah, it would be. Do you remember that infamous clip? I think it was some tournament, and I think Lupo and Courage were calling it, but it was the ballers. How 50 of them were swinging around this end game. Just imagine 15 of those cars just breaking into each other like a little battle. That would be fantastic.
It would be crazy. So you can expect that for the season. Really exciting to see the evolution of that. I'm sure it'll grow into something really spectacular, where we all battle some really cool event at the end. I'm hoping for that. And then other map changes that are worth talking about. Because we have tactical sprint, spicy items are gone. So spicy fish, the spicy splashes, and the chili peppers are all gone. Tornadoes and lightning storm.
I just want to make a side point to the tactical thing and ask you a question. Do you wish you could build while doing the tactical sprint?
You can in Arena, can't you? Just barely, like one or two builds.
You can't pull out your build when you tactical sprint. You build, then tac sprint, then build. And I wondered how it would look if you could turbo build with the tactical sprint, and if it would be like a unique feature. And then imagine pairing that with like a pepper. Ultra speed. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like they should definitely change it to do that, but I could also see everyone falling to their death pretty quickly.
What I want is all I've been thinking about is like end game Arena with all the changes, like with mobility. I would love to see like a Mirror's Edge wall run. Because I'm imagining end game where you and your team have run out of mats. You're now like amongst tons of other enemies' builds. It would be so cool to see vaulting and all that stuff through all the builds. Like, even though you don't have any yourself, I would love to see like a wall ride type of thing so that you could go like if you're above ground and there's nothing you can actually like link onto, maybe you can wall ride for like 3 or 4 spaces.
Run
That'd be
across the wall. Yeah.
really cool. And it uses your tactical sprint. I don't know, but I like it. I think all in all, like we're going to have a lot of really cool end games in Arena with this stuff. I'm really excited
Yeah.
to see.
And I would mention if you are a PC player, maybe looking at getting a foot pedal, you will be running out of finger space pretty quickly with
sure.
all of these mechanics. I got one for myself for the tactical sprint, and it's been amazing because I was hitting like the
It's not a bad
B
idea.
button to tactical sprint, and it was just not reasonable for me at all. So I would definitely look into that if you're someone who actually wants to use it.
What I do is my W key, right above my W key, 2 and 3. So I put my weapons closer to around my WASD, but my W is forward. So my forward finger will be going that way. But my auto run is 2. So it's like right above W. And then my tactical sprint is 3. So like all of my moving forward or quickly motion is all in my middle finger, which I feel like, it's using it really helpfully. I'll have all these. If you're looking for keybinds, you can stop by my Twitch. I have my entire keybind set up and it works really well for me. But if you're struggling, like I feel like we have created our keybinds and then they're like, here's one more thing you need to add. And everyone's like, what do I do? Like, so
yeah, like I think that's a huge issue because I legitimately have no space to add. And I wish I kind of had a mouse that had a 4th mouse button on the side because then I would just use that to click it. But I think if you definitely don't want to do that and you have a foot pedal, just use that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay. And the last few things that are worth mentioning, there's just kind of small things, is air raids are happening across the map. We're going to be getting, you might see some like blown up areas. We're going to be getting airstrike grenades that you can throw and it'll
Which I love. Yeah.
And I'm wondering if those will affect the ground. I know with this new engine, we got trees falling. I hope in the future of Fortnite, it probably won't be this season, but imagine like when you throw a grenade, it actually like
makes a crater.
Affects the ground. Yeah. Like that would be pretty cool. And create some really awesome terrain to navigate. Hopefully that eventually comes and I'm here for it. And then the rock statue, which we all know and love, our leader, the foundation, has completely blown up and he has it's like leg day. It's just his torso and his head is like blown apart. It's kind of sad.
Did they explain why that happened? Did I miss?
No, we just showed up in season 2. So if you're expecting to land on the top of the rock, you will not be able to. He is just a torso.
It's so interesting how those little things they just don't mention. And then
I like it. I like the small story aspects in the game that if you're paying attention, like for example, you might remember. Do you remember chapter 1, the Rock family?
Yes, I do.
There was like a story of like one rock guy, and then there's a rock girl, and the rock girl gets a flower from the rock guy. He goes through the lava, he dies. The rock girl gets sad, and then he survives somehow, and they create a rock family with a rock child and a rock dog. Well, I have good news for all of you that made it this far in the podcast. The rock family has returned. He's in the desert. All 3 of them are in the desert, and they will slowly start to create a new story out there, which is very exciting for people that are nerdy like me.
I love those little things that they do. I think it's adorable.
It's great.
Those little side stories. Like they did that with the gnomes too, I think, where they just kind of like meet up for no reason really. They just kind of meet up and hang out like throughout the seasons and updates. I think it's super cool. Whoever's job it is to run that storyline, like I want to be you.
I want to be there. I want to be that. I want that job. If you're listening to this and you need help, please DM us. We'll definitely help you. I've got great ideas. I think that's everything that I can think of. PM, do you got anything else that's worth mentioning of the new season?
Bring back the MK. I know that sounds crazy, but I truly don't like that the only AR besides the Ranger is a burst. I think there needs to be the MK back. I think they just need to get rid of the
thermal.
Ranger.
They have the thermal now. There's the thermal Ranger.
I do love the thermal and I love the revolver. I love that one shot aspect. I think it's super cool. I did see a rumor of the heavy snipers returning potentially.
Yep.
That excites me. I love that sniper. I hate the ones that we have now. I hate the
Oh yeah.
what
If you can't like a headshot like eliminate somebody,
Yeah.
it's not worth picking up.
I hate the animation of it. I hate I really hated the 3 ammo because I would always reload it like it was a one-shot sniper, and I would look stupid every time I did it. And I just think they need to go back to the heavy sniper.
100%.
I mean, not much else. Like I think so far this season is great. Once the building comes back, I'll hop back into pubs. But I see why people want to keep it. I don't want to remove it completely. I just think
I'm curious of what that looks like. The future of whatever happened in these 9 days is going to be decided very soon, and it'll be cool to see what Epic does. I don't think you revert back things. That never goes well in any video game unless it's like a broken aspect to the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they got rid of turbo building, I feel like I just don't think it would be smart. But I'm curious of what they can do to make it fit well.
Yeah.
You know, like, and this is a very successful story in Fortnite where they implemented something and it got crazy good positive feedback for the most part. But I do think most people will be burnt out on it eventually. And I think that's why there's like a time on it. And we're all learning how to vault and stuff. So maybe the future that they have in Fortnite will be very parkour-y, you know?
Which is like, awesome.
Which would be really cool. Yeah. Because Tilted Towers is, I typically don't drop Tilted, mostly because I can't find shield. I've been dropping Tilted a lot, especially with this, because you can vault around. And if you out vault somebody who's chasing you, my favorite thing is like you shoot somebody or somebody shoots you and you're like, oh, shoot. And you turn the corner, you vault up one. They turn the corner and like, where'd he go? You're up above them and you can blast them. Like, it's really fun to do that. And I hope gameplay becomes more and more like that instead of just building yourself in a 1x1. I'm wondering what creative ways we will find to implement vaulting with building. It'll be really exciting.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, PM, thanks for being a huge foundation to this podcast. I appreciate you, your friendship, and thanks for being a part of this one. You're awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for letting me be Skip Bayless for the day. I appreciate that.
We need both perspectives always on this podcast. So
you're the good gamer on the Star One guy. So that's what we need.
And of course, a special thank you to all of you, our listeners. Feel free to connect with us on the Unvaulted Pod or me at the Squatingdog or PM. What's your handle again?
OH. It's PM. So it's PM.
Oh, it's PM.
Yeah. I took that because there was someone who didn't necessarily like my kind of our creative style in a Twitch chat. And I sent something to someone and they were like, oh, it's PM. And I'm like, oh, I like that. I'm going to take that. And so that was my new name. So
connect with us. You could yell at him for his perspective. You could yell at me for mine. But if you enjoyed today's podcast, be sure to share it with a friend. Until next time, I'm Squatingdog. We'll see you later.